Hey Tom Stroud, Tom Cycle here, and today I'm going to be talking about early winter fishing. And so this is after the fall, when the fish are slowing down. So yeah, I'm going to go back in the fall. So in fall, the fish are crown bait fish. The bass are crown bait fish back into pockets and then feeding up on them. They're pushing them into pockets and bays, and then when the water cools down, they'll head out of them pockets and go down to ledges or large flats or just long, slow tapering points or their winter areas, and they'll go there and then they'll just hang out there and feed up on bait fish. And as the water cools down, the crawfish will get more active than they usually are in the summertime, and so they'll feed up on crawfish and bait fish. And so the first bait I'm going to go with is a jig. And so on a jig, when the water's in the 70s and the 60 degree water, I'll throw a jig with a lot of action. I'll throw a jig trailer that has a lot of kicking action, and I'll show you what I got right here. Alright, so right here is a Zoom Ultravide, and these are my favorite finesse jig trailers. I'll cut off about that much off of it and put it on the back of my jig, and they've got tons of action. Love these for my jig trailers, and I usually use them for finesse jigs. I won't usually use them for my bigger jigs. For my bigger jigs, I'll use our Thompson Tackle crawler. That has a lot of action, and I really like it. So when I'm talking about bigger jigs, I mean a jig like this Striking Premier Pro model or just the straight Pro model. That's what I'll use it for. And so, yeah, so like I was saying, when the water's in the 70s and the 60s, I'll use a trailer with a lot of action, something like this. This is a Zoom, I don't know what it is though. Just got a lot of action, great jig trailer. But when the water cools down to the 40s and the 50s, I'll use something with a lot slower action. Something like a Zoom Chunk. So this is a Zoom Chunk here. They have, I have two of their sizes. I don't know what size these are, but I have two of them. I got a really big one. This is for my big jig, my 3/4 ounce jig, really big jig for offshore structure. And right here is a smaller one for my smaller jigs in the winter time. And so yeah, like I said, it's my Premier Pro model, and yeah, I like this chunk for my other jigs. And in the wintertime, I always have that trailer or our chunk crawl trailer on and in my box and ready to go. And so these are perfect because they don't have a whole lot of action, and it's more from the bass are more lethargic, and so it just goes perfectly. And so yeah, how I'm gonna fish the jig is on that offshore structure. Is throw it out there, let it sink, and then slowly drag it until I feel something. Then I'll pop it up slowly and let it sink back down and keep dragging it and doing that over and over again. You can do a bunch of different ways. You can slowly just pull it and pop it a little bit, or just point your rod towards your bait and just really slowly, and make sure you got your bait on contact with your bottom. And so yeah, that's how I'll fish my jig. And usually when it comes to the winter fishing, I'll usually on my jigs, I'll usually have a rattle on there. And so on the Premier Pro model, Strike King, it already has a rattle on it, so that's what I really like about it. You don't have to have a rattle, it's just, I think it's really nice to have. And so yeah, and so the rod that I would throw is either, well, it depends. If you got like a big bulky hook like this one, or on a Premier Pro model. This is my big jig on Premier Pro model. It's got like the same hook. If you're using a jig like this, I usually use a 7.6 heavy or a 7 foot heavy. I usually go 7.6, bigger rod. I'm hoping to get 7.6 for Christmas right now. I got this crap Tiger Combo Shakespeare. It's really a catfishing rod, not made for bass fishing. It's really thick and stuff. But yeah, 7.6 heavy or just a heavy 7 foot heavy. That's the lowest I'd go. And then if you got a smaller wire jig, like sort of a finesse jig or just smaller wire, you can use a medium heavy, like 7.6 medium heavy or 7 foot medium heavy will work. And your ratio usually 8 to 1:1 will do you good. 7.5 to 1 to 8 1 to 1 will do you great. Because if you throw it out there and a fish starts swimming towards you with your bait, you can just reel up your line real quick and set the hook on that fish. And I think, and on the line I would use is 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon would do perfect. You can use mono, but mono just tends to stretch too much, and so yeah, I really like fluorocarbon for my jigs. And so next I'm gonna go to a lipless crankbait. So a lipless crankbait or a rattle trap. And so right here I got the Strike King Red Eye Shad right here. And so on a lipless crankbait, I would throw it out there, let it sink to the bottom, and then slowly drag it. And pop a little bit, slowly drag it. And so yeah, just throw it out, let it sink to the bottom, and slowly drag it. And the rod I'd use for this is probably either 7 foot medium heavy all the way up to 7.4 medium heavy. That's the highest I would go. And gear ratio 7.3 to 1 will do good. 7.3 to 1 is 6. I would do 6.4 to 1, 7.3 to 1. 7.3 to 1. And so right here, I said I'd rather do 7.3 to 1, 7.3 to 1. 7.3 to 1 is 6.4 to 1. And so right here is my favorite crankbait and jerkbait setup, spinnerbait setup, and it's a 6.4 to 1 gear ratio. Really like this setup. But yeah, so 6.4 to 1, 7.3 to 1. 7.3 to 1 is the highest I'd go in the winter time because you want to be more slower. And so you just throw it out there, let it sink, slowly drag it. And line, usually 12 to 15 pound fluorocarbon will do great. Again, you can use monofilament, but fluorocarbon will be perfect. And so next, I'm going to go to a flat-sided square bill crankbait. And I don't have one, but I'm just going to put this bait up here. This is my Strike King 1.5, but I don't have a flat-sided crankbait. I would really like to have one. I'm just going to demonstrate this as my flat-sided crankbait. And flat-sided crankbait because flat-sided crankbait has a lot more tighter action, a lot more tighter wiggle than what a Strike King 1.5 up to 2.5 would. Because on your Strike Kings, they have tons of action, but when the water gets cooler, you want to have a little bit of action. And so, yeah, and 7.3 to 1 gear ratio. 7.3 to 1 gear ratio. Again, to 6.4 to 1 would be good. And you really don't want with a whole lot of rattles just because it's slowing down, and I don't know, you just really don't want with a whole lot of rattles, I guess. But it's fine if you got rattles too. I mean, usually I use one with not much rattles too. So yeah, and there's a rod you can just use medium, 7 foot medium heavy on up, like my setup here. This is a Abu Garcia Black Max and a luers Laser Pro Speed Stick right here. And medium heavy 610. And it's a really great rod. It's got a lot of bend to it. It's got a little bit of backbone, and I really like it for my crankbait rods too. And so yeah, there's a good amount of other baits, like a floater spoon or a big swim bait. I'm not going to talk about them today. And so I think that's really all I got for today. So thank you all so much for watching this video, and please like and subscribe, and see y'all later.